Hello everyone and welcome to All Things Watched. In this video we are going to talk about the brand new Hulu original movie Quiz Lady, which mainly stars Sandra Oh, Holland Taylor, Will Ferrell, and Awafina. Now of course Will Ferrell and even Holland Taylor they don't really play huge roles in the movie, but they are in there sort of off and on just a little bit. But the movie mainly stars Awafina and Sandra Oh, who are sisters in the movie, and they portray two characters known as Ann Yum and Jenny Yum. And so the movie really focuses on Anne and basically how she lives her life. You know, she basically lives a very normal, very routine type of life. Meaning, she does sort of the same thing each day. She wakes up, she goes to work, she comes home, and then at whatever time in the evening, she ends up watching this game show on her television. So she's someone who's very much into game shows, specifically question-related shows, which is why it's called Quiz Lady. Because she's basically someone who, plays these game shows, which has quizzes, and she's actually quite good at them. She does a really good job. It seems like she always knows the answers and all this kind of stuff. And so shortly into the movie, we end up meeting Jenny Yum, which is her sister. And she ends up coming into the story very early on because basically they have this mother who was living at, I assume, was like some form of old age home or something like that. And the mother ends up going out and gambling a lot all the time. And so basically the home that their mother was living at ends up calling both Anne and Jenny, telling them that their mother is gone. But what they really mean is that she's just left. She has sort of escaped. But Jenny thinks that means that her mom has actually died, so she ends up coming and basically reuniting with Anne because of the fact that she thinks that their mother is actually gone and actually dead. So this ends up bringing Jenny and Anne back together, reuniting them. And Jenny is very much like this. She doesn't really have her life figured out yet. She's sort of like a little ball of chaos. She's living out of her car. She doesn't really have a whole lot of real goals or ambitions. I mean, she does have aspirations, but she's never really good at making those things concrete. She lives, a very sort of carefree, nonchalant sort of life, whereas Anne is very professional. And so Anne ends up taking her in, and so you have these two very different personalities, two very different characters who are sisters that sometimes butt heads, but still at the end of the day they still have that sisterly love. Now basically the conflict of the movie is that their mother has a gambling problem and ends up actually going, like I think they say in the movie, is like $80,000 worth of debt or something like that. So of course when the time comes for the people to collect, they end up coming to Anne and Jenny and basically saying, hey, your mother owes us a bunch of money and you need to pay it up. And of course neither one of them has that kind of money. Jenny doesn't even work, and Anne, although she does work in a professional setting, she probably doesn't have $80,000 to actually spare. So they start to come up with all these different ideas and try to figure out a way to muster up all of this money. So Jenny ends up trying to convince her sister Anne, hey, why don't you go on this game show that you're always watching, considering that you always know the right answers. If you went on there, you would probably actually win. Hence the name Quiz Lady. That's basically why this story is called Quiz Lady and all that kind of stuff. And honestly, I thought the story was very interesting. It was really good. It was really compelling. I had a lot of fun watching this movie. Will Ferrell, like I said, is in this movie, and he portrays a character known as Terry McTeer, who's actually the host of this game show. And he does a phenomenal job. In fact, he has a scene in the movie, not to go too far into spoilers, but he has a scene towards the end of the movie, because I don't think you need to be rocket scientist to know that Anne is going to end up on this game show. I can't remember what, I think the show was called Can't Stop the Quiz or something like that. I think it is. And of course she ends up eventually going on the quiz, or on this show, and of course once she meets Terry, who's portrayed by Will, he actually has a really good, really touching moment. It's the type of Will Ferrell that I feel like we haven't seen in a very long time, because Will Ferrell does a really good job at drawing out emotions, but I feel like we haven't seen him do this kind of job like what we have in a long time. Like I really liked his performance in this movie. Even though it was really small, it was a really good performance. And he basically tells Anne, because Anne is sort of, you know, getting tired, or even maybe even a little bit frustrated with this game show now that she's actually on it. And he actually and she's kind of convinced that she's probably going to lose. And he actually tells her, he has such an inspirational moment, and he tells her, you know, don't think about winning, don't think about losing, just enjoy the one night that you have here. You know, lots of people would love to be on the game show, and she is. But the way he says it to her and the way he talks to her, it was just a really nice motivational and inspirational speech. And I really love that. And in the show, Terry ends up wearing a different tie or a different bow tie every single day. And he actually sort of uses those bow ties as a way to sort of motivate Anne. He's telling her, like, hey, I wear a different tie every single day because each of these ties has a different story. And he looks at Anne basically and says, hey, even if you lose this tie that I'm wearing today, I will always remember that this is Anne from wherever it was that she's from, who came in here with her dog, because she ends up bringing the dog on the stage with her. And it was just such a really heartwarming moment, and I really appreciated it. And it was really good to see Will Ferrell play that role, because at first I thought maybe he might be playing sort of like a more of a, like a, not necessarily sinister or menacing, but I just felt like maybe he was just like, that guy that's really famous and doesn't really care so much about the contestants or whatnot. But it turns out that he was actually a really nice guy. Now, Holland Taylor, she portrays a character known as Francine, and she's actually Anne's neighbor, because Anne lives in a home which seems to be sort of like a divided home, more of like a community home, or like a, you know what I mean, like one of those homes that are connected to another home and whatnot. And Francine is her neighbor, and so she does a really great job as well with the little bit that she's given. She has a couple funny moments, but I think that Will Ferrell and Awafina and Sandra Oh are definitely the standouts of this movie. Sandra does a really good job with Jenny, portraying Jenny, and Awa does a really great job at portraying Anne, and like I already said, Will Ferrell does a phenomenal job with Terry. And it was also really fun to see Anne and Jenny's backstory as well, and how they play off of each other. There's a lot of really funny moments in this as well. It really is a really funny moment, a funny moment at times. There's a time when Anne ends up doing drugs at one point in the movie, but it was just so funny. Not because she's a drug addict or anything like that, but just because she was trying to build up enough nerve to sort of go and audition for this game show, and the side effects of it was just a really funny scene, and really funny, just a really fun time overall at the movie, or in the movie, or watching the movie. Sorry. So if I had to put a number on Quiz Lady, I'd probably give this one a solid, at least a solid 65%, if not maybe even a 70. I would recommend you watch it, and I would even watch it again. I really loved Anne and Jenny, and I really loved how they played off of each other. The performers, Sandra and Awafina, did a great job playing off of each other, and like I said, it's worth your while to watch. It is one of those movies that will make you laugh, and it has a few little touching moments, and especially if you're someone who do have a sibling, if you have a brother or a sister, I think you'll really appreciate this movie. And that's pretty well all I got. So let me know in the comment section below if you've seen Quiz Lady, and if you liked it, tell me why or why not. If you like this video, click the subscribe button, and if you want to help us grow for the second time, I accidentally deleted the channel the first time, then like, share, comment, and all that good stuff. And that's pretty well all I got. So until the next video, take care.